another episode of Brothers Got Next. We're just having a little laughter before we got on here. Just talking about recapping our great times we had in Pittsburgh.
Go Steelers.
Steelers look good. They look good.
I get to the Super Bowl, bro. I got
they might. Well, listen, you got to give me credit. I was the one that picked them. I said
they division
so far.
They got a tough stretch coming up, though. They got their next 3 games. Their next 4 games. Check this out, because the Browns that's going to be tough because it's a division opponent.
Right.
So they're at Philly, at Baltimore versus the Chiefs.
So because you guys have a bye this week?
No, they have their bye a couple weeks ago. They have the Browns this week.
Oh, the Browns this week. Okay, because I was going to say Philly plays the Panthers this week.
Yeah, so I was saying
after this week. It's the week after that.
So if you have Philly, Baltimore, and the Chiefs, I think we're going to know a lot about if they're actually contenders or not. If they can go 2-1 in that stretch, I think we can say all right, they may be contenders.
I mean, I'm pretty confident because I know they're kind of probably pissed from the Browns game that they're going to win this week. It's in Pittsburgh. So I'll put them at 10 wins at least right now, and then the next 3, then it's okay, now we'll see what they're made of.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know what I mean? Yeah, now we'll see what they're made of. But anyway, man, before we get going, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, man. Spent it with my wife and my in-laws. We went down to South Jersey. We went to her sister's place. We had a great time, man. Me and my brother-in-law finished the whole bottle of whiskey. It got a little crazy, but we had a great time, man. How was yours?
Good, great, man. Just good to get away from the DMV area. I think I told everybody before. Me and my wife, we went to Arizona to see my mom's side of the family. My uncle lives out there, and it was good seeing him, his wife, and my cousin, who I don't get to see. She's young, she's 29. So me and Ellie hung out with her.
Have I met this cousin before?
No, you have not. No. Because she's actually the youngest. So check this out. She's the youngest grandchild out of the family.
Wow. Okay.
She's the youngest. Yeah, she's the youngest. So, she's 29. But I also got to see some of my other aunts on my mom's side. All my aunts came out. So it was kind of like a mini reunion. Ellie had met, one of my aunts that she never met before. So that was good. But Arizona was great, man. The weather was great. 75 every day. Sunny. Man, I really liked Arizona. Arizona's this is my second time going there. It's a really chill state. You know what I mean? Everybody was really nice.
It gives me Nevada vibes for sure.
Correct. Yeah, obviously it doesn't have it has casinos, but not like how Nevada has it, of course.
Right.
But real chill. People are cool. Very laid back. You do need a car. You got to drive everywhere. It's definitely not a transit state. You know what I mean? You definitely gotta have a car because.
Let's be real. I feel like the only place you don't need a car is New York City.
Yeah, for the most part, right? Exactly.
You need a car everywhere.
Yeah, for the most part. Even though I would say now, DC is becoming one of those cities that you don't need a car because they have the metro. People walk a lot. Yeah, if you live in DC, obviously we both live in Maryland. You need a car, but in DC you really don't need a car. You can get around. They have a pretty good transit system, but yeah, man, it was a cool vacation. It was actually the
only
time me and my wife flew this year. We got on a plane. You know what I mean? So
it's crazy. The year's about to be wrapped up.
I know, because it's rare that me and her normally go on about 2 trips a year. We're on a plane. Next year will probably be a little different, especially just even for me personally. I'll probably definitely be on a plane more than just once.
Well, you're gonna be on a plane next summer.
There you go. Right.
Probably a couple times.
Yeah. Because like I said, I plan, obviously, Vegas, and then I'm hoping to take Ellie to Jamaica for her, her birthday. That's the plan right now.
Awesome. You know what we got to do, D? This would be cool. I don't know if it'll work this time around, but we got to do a show live from Vegas, man. That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. We definitely got to do that. Yeah. I would say we should do that probably once when you're just going to chill with the bros, on a regular vacay, and I'll just come out. And then we can do it. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be dope.
That'd be awesome.
But overall, man, Thanksgiving was great. I didn't eat crazy a lot though. I only had 1 plate, and then just like you were saying with your brother-in-law, you got I was sipping. Me, my cousin, and Ellie, we did gummies. Yeah. So
Ellie, listen. I almost shed a tear when you told me that your wife did an edible, because remember when you had a paint and sip. About a month ago. Was that over a month ago? But anyway, about a month ago, and She said, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I got excited. You're like, don't get your hopes up, bro. I bring the gummy out. She cuts a little corner of it. I'm like, and you said she did like half of
She
one.
did half of one, bro. I
What did
was
she
super proud.
react?
So at first, I would say like the first probably couple, like not, I won't even say like the first hour, she wasn't really feeling anything. So I was like, damn, well, maybe she has like real high tolerance. But
Yeah,
then the eyes started getting red. And then even when her eyes were, she was like, well, I'm still not really feeling it. I'm like, well, your eyes are red. So something's happening.
yeah.
Then probably like another 30 minutes, hour later, she was like, I'm high. Like kind of like our boy, the Kahar voice again. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh
And me and my cousin
man,
we had been, already
you're
at that stage.
boosted.
So yeah, but
Well, we have a friends miss coming up, so we'll have another
yeah,
chance.
for sure. But yeah, man, let's get into it. Let's get into the NFL, man. Man, Saquon Barkley, I ain't gonna have to even say he's been
That boy
balling.
is
That's an
bad.
understatement.
It's a bad
Yeah.
boy.
I was looking at the stats, and
Mhm.
so okay, he's almost at 1,500 yards already, and we're not,
Yeah,
obviously we're about how many games left? We still got like 6, 7 games left.
five. Either teams either have 5 or 4. I think 5 or 4 games left.
Yeah, 4 or 5 games left, right? So he's at 1,500 yards. He's 11 touchdowns. He's averaging 6 yards a carry.
That's Barry Sanders type stuff,
So
man.
listen to these Kwab, in the last 3 games combined, he has 508 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Mm.
Like, dude, that's like when I did the average. That's like almost 100. That's like 135,
I think
140
he's averaging like 126 a game overall.
overall. But I'm saying the last
Yeah,
3 games, it's almost like 150 a game, almost.
yeah, he is awesome this year.
Yeah, bro.
Awesome,
I
awesome.
mean, no more than 150 a game. It's like, yeah, it's like closer to maybe like over one, over 150 a game the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our boy Josh Allen, who,
You
man,
know I'm a Josh guy.
no,
That's my
that's your
guy.
boy. I mean, bro, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. He's thrown for almost 2,700 yards. They beat the Chiefs. I mean, one more loss by the Chiefs, they'll have the tiebreaker. They can possibly get the number 1
And
seed.
they'll have the edge, yeah.
Right. And obviously he's doing this really with no number 1 wide receiver. This is kind of, by committee. And
Which
a lot
makes
of
them a
people
little more dangerous, in my opinion. Yeah.
say it again.
I think it makes them a little more dangerous. You don't know where the
Right.
ball's
Remember,
going.
well, a lot of people thought when they kind of traded, Diggs away, that, oh, okay, then I got to have a number 1 who's going to be their number 1. That they thought they kind of, dip a little bit, but they've actually gotten better. And as you said,
Yeah.
they're actually more dangerous. So with all that being said, I just want to get your opinion at this point right now. Who would you get the MVP to? Would it be Saquon or would it be Josh?
See, I want to go into this with a like non-biased opinion because I want a running back to win it since I don't think we've had a
Oh
running
yeah, I'm
back.
glad you brought that up. Before you say your who you're gonna pick. Another question I want to ask you. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about the running back position. With Saquon doing this, and obviously Derrick Henry's having a good season. Some other good running backs are having good seasons as well. Is and you can answer this after you make your pick. Is Saquon what Saquon's doing? Is it making it more now prevalent that the running? Remember, I think we talked about in other shows that the running back position was kind of coming back, and
Yeah,
that
we talked about that.
now right that we
Yeah.
showed the kind of the more importance of having a good running back. Is Saquon with what Saquon's doing is now? Do you think teams will be like, all right, now we have to focus
Mhm.
more on getting a good running back? You know what I mean? Whether it's in the draft or signing one, instead of what we've been doing for the last 5 years, where it's like, yeah, the running back's not that important. We don't have to pay him. We can just get one off the street. Do you think that is coming back?
All right. Well, so yeah, you asked 2 questions.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of a 2-part question.
well, yeah, like you said, the other one we've talked about a bit, where I don't think we're going to see running backs get drafted super high as much anymore. I think the last running back to go top 10 was Bijan Robinson, which was just a year ago or 2 years ago.
Right. 2 years ago, yeah.
I believe he went 10th overall, but I think that's far and few in between now. Even Najee Harris, about 3-4 years ago, went in the first round as well. But you're starting to see less and less running backs go early in the draft, and I don't think that's going to change at this point. I think that's just the way.
Okay, so you don't think you'll see more of an uptick of running backs getting drafted in the first round?
I don't think so. And there are a lot of running backs in this upcoming draft, but I still think history has proven that you can get guys in the second round, third round, fourth round, and so on and so forth. So I think we're going to continue to see teams focus more on patching up their offensive lines, getting pass rushers, obviously looking for quarterbacks early on, and then worry about running backs later in the draft. Receivers are always going to be relevant. I mean, it's a passing league. It's been a passing league for a while now, so you're going to continue to see wide receivers get drafted. But
Right.
I say all that to say, when it comes to them getting a new contract off of their rookie deal, I do think that teams are going to start to show a little bit more appreciation for the position. But I
Right.
think what's going to happen is the numbers are going to look a little different. So, like, I think a new contract for running back is going to be around that 12, $13 million a year. It's not going to be wide receiver like, Le'Veon Bell wanted to get wide receiver money because he felt
Right.
like,
Right.
well, I'm a receiver too. And I bring him up because he's the last
Well,
running back.
Saquon got about 13 million, right? I
That's
think
what I'm
with his
saying. Yeah,
contract. Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to
Which,
start to see.
okay, not to interrupt you, which brings me to the New York Giants, because they could have signed him for that 13 million, because I guess reportedly there was reports that he wanted more, but obviously he proved he didn't want more, because I think if you watch the Hard Knocks, remember before the season started, and watch those episodes, he told them, like, yeah, that's what I want, around 12, 13 million. And apparently they were okay with that. And then they still let him hit the free agent market.
Mhm.
And and not only does he sign with another team, but he signs with a team within the division and one of their rivals. Like,
Yeah, and he's
it
an
just goes to
MVP
show how
candidate.
bad the Giants organization is. You know what I mean? Because they
You
could have
know,
had.
but you know what? When it comes to that, I'm a little different with that whole Giants thing. Like, he was there for 4 years, and they were bad pretty much every year but one. So they could have handled the situation a little differently, but I don't think the Giants would be any better with Saquon right now. I think they probably have maybe 5 wins, 6 wins. I mean, they're a bad team. They have a
Right. No,
lot
I
of
got you. Because, right, they don't have the
yeah.
quarterback. No, I get
Yeah,
that. But
so they
I
freed
think
up that
everybody's
cap.
perception was he was still the best player, especially offensive player on that team.
Yeah,
So why would you not resign your best
right.
offensive player? You
You
get what I'm
can,
saying? It's not like he was just some guy, or he was like, oh, he produced, or he was a good contributor, so we could just let him go. I get that. If he was just on some, like, oh, he was like the second or third best player, then yeah, you could probably let him go. He was your best player on offense. There wasn't even a question. It's like, well, you probably want to resign your best player on offense.
they just got to that whole thing needs to be torn apart. And
Yeah, I agree. I
it may
agree.
even Dable might be out because I think the thing
Well, I
now.
do. Well, I was going to say, I believe he will be. I think him and the GM are both going to be out by the end of the season. That's just my opinion. I mean, the way things have gone, and just going back to the whole Saquon thing, when you add that to what has happened already this season, I don't see how Dayball and who is it, Sheehan? I think his last name is.
Joe Shane.
Yeah, I don't see how they're not let go. I don't see how Mara says, "Oh yeah, we're going to bring you back." Like, I just don't see
I
it.
think Shane will be gone before Dable if they were to let one of them go because
Mm-hmm.
Dable still hasn't really had a chance to groom his own quarterback. But the problem with Dable now is that he's gotten, Drew Lock. I'm not saying these guys are great, but Drew Lock has been in there. Tommy DeVito's been in there,
Mm-hmm.
and they look just as putrid on defense. So on
Right,
offense,
right,
excuse me. So
right.
I think the issue is like, all right, well, we're not seeing any creativity from this offense. I mean, the Giants, in my opinion, are the worst team in the NFL. Maybe behind like the Jags. They're both right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Because at
think
least like
once the Giants lost to the Panthers, I was like, yeah, they're the worst team in the league.
yeah, because at least the Raiders are really bad too. But the Raiders have been in a lot of tight games. They won in
Correct.
Baltimore.
And the
They were
Panthers are starting to play better, even though they're
they are.
losing. They're competitive in every game.
I think Bryce Young is saving his job. Honestly, I
Right, he
think
is.
the
Yeah, I
Panthers
think
going
he's starting to
the draft.
show
Yeah.
why he was the number one pick. Like, because they have nothing there. They have no O line. They have no receiver. They do have a running back. Hubbard is good.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard is good.
Yeah, so he has a running back, but he has nothing else to work with. So even them being competitive and pushing teams, especially good teams, to like overtime or to like the end of the game, it's showing that yeah, he is the future. You know what I mean? It just had to
Yeah.
give him time.
So I think Saquon Barkley's contract is actually a good thing because other running backs can't be like, well, I want 17 million a year. Like, well, this dude
Right,
just.
right.
I mean, who knows? This dude just had the most yards ever in a season. So, what's
Do you
your
think
argument?
you think he gets to the 2,000 mark?
I do. And remember, there's an
Okay.
extra game now. So, like, it's a little
Right.
easier for play. But he's on pace to have over 2,100, 2125, which would actually break Eric Dickerson's record. So, he's on pace to have the all time record,
Right, right, right.
which would be incredible. So, I say all that to say, I do think he should be the MVP favorite. Now, obviously, these few 5 games it's still being determined. If I
Right.
were to put in my vote right now, I would say Saquon just based off the fact that he has elevated that offense because Jalen Hurts has had some struggles. He had some struggles last year. Like he was a little, he wasn't the same quarterback as he
Yeah,
was.
'cause it looked like he took a step back last year. Remember, people kind of like, I don't know about
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts, and obviously, yeah, Saquon is definitely elevated because, yeah, I mean, remember they were like the second half of the season, they were awful.
Yeah,
The
they
Eagles,
weren't very good. They were getting
didn't they lose like 6, 7
they
straight
were like
games or
one
something like
and
that?
five in their last 6 games.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
and going even to the playoff game, So
yeah,
yeah, no, I agree.
Baker doesn't work them.
Right, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I think I would give him the MVP vote right now. It's so easy to give it to a quarterback, and I understand why. Like we know how valuable quarterbacks are to their squads, and like Josh Allen, I still think Lamar Jackson's in that mix too. Once again, especially if the Ravens win the North. I mean, we know the Steelers' schedule coming up is
yeah.
really
I didn't
tough.
put Lamar in there because I felt like he kind of fell off a little bit in the last few games. Like I thought 2 or 3 weeks ago I would right. He was definitely in that conversation, but the last few games he hasn't looked great. I mean, he's played well, but he hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked like the Lamar we've known. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I was like, yeah, that's why I kind of took him out because I'm like, right now to me it's Saquon and Josh.
Yeah, I think
That's
those are the two leading candidates
right,
right now.
right.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
would give it to Saquon. What about you?
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'll give it Saquon because I'm one of those. I hated to see what happened to the running backs where they kind of devalued the position where the last 5 years has been kind of like, yeah, where again, when I was saying to you, like they thought, oh, we just get a running back off the street, we can draft them in later rounds, or we can just sign anybody, and as long as we have a good O line or we have a good quarterback, or just a good team around them, we don't need them to be, um, you know, doing what Saquon's doing. We don't need them to be getting 1,500 yards or 2,000 yards. We don't need that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Maybe you just need them to go over 1,000 yards, maybe 1,300 yards, and we're good. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that Saquon's kind of doing this, and even the reemergence of Derrick Henry, who's
Yeah,
older and is balling
yeah.
as well. Obviously McCaffrey was the guy last year but obviously he's hurt. Um, but like I said, you've seen a lot of good running backs. Like I said, we just mentioned Hubbard from the Carolina Panthers. So there's been a lot of good running back play this
Josh
year.
Jacobs has been good this year too.
Josh Jacobs has been good this year. J.K. Dobbins has been good this year.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you're seeing a lot of guys really a lot of running backs play well this year. So I'm kind of happy to see that because I want to see their value go back up or at least get back to where it was, where they weren't just kind of saying like, yeah, we can just get any running back. I think there's the Saquons, the Derrick Henrys are showing like, hey, we're valuable. You need us to win a championship. You need us to elevate the offense. So yeah, I would say Saquon is MVP right now. I mean, and I'm just going off the last 3 games. Like I said, I mean, the guy is rushed for almost over 150 yards in the last 3 games average, and 5 touchdowns. He's
Right.
averaging 6 yards a carry, and like I said, we still have 5 games. Like he's already at 1,500 yards. So you're right. I mean, he's definitely gonna get 2,000. I don't know if he'll break Eric Dickerson's record, but he's definitely gonna be over 2,000 yards. So
He's gonna be real close to it, I think.
yeah, for sure, for
And I
sure.
think another thing too, real quick, is like we've seen a good amount of teams struggle this year without a running game. The Cowboys, for example, haven't really had a consistent running game this year, and it's
Right,
really hurt it's
exactly.
really hurt their offense. So you're definitely going to see more teams put more value into that position.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think teams that have not been that great this year, who haven't had a
Mhm.
running back or a star running back, it's shown that yeah, you need a good running back. I don't
Mhm.
care what your offensive line looks like. I don't care if you have the right pieces around you. If they're not a good, if they're not skilled like the Saquons, the Derrick Henrys, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like if you can't run the ball, that's what it is. Then it's like, okay, that's why you need to go get a running back. And like, right,
Yeah.
Dallas is a perfect example of like, yeah, you need a running back, whether drafting them or signing somebody that is legit. They have to, you have to address that position and not just say like, oh, well, we can just plug anybody back there. As long as we have a good old line, we're good. So I'm kind of glad Saquon and Derrick Henry are kind of doing this year to show the value, of the running back.
Even the Chiefs not having Pacheco throughout the year has affected their offense.
Exactly, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Well, it was a report this week, Quab, that the Bears are looking to go after Kyle Shanahan. Now,
Mm.
it's just rumored, but there are reports that they may be willing to give up draft picks to get Kyle Shanahan. Um, so I'm guessing my question to you is that a good idea by the Bears to go after Kyle Shanahan? And should Kyle Shanahan leave the 49ers?
Hmm. That's tough, man. Because I think that I'm not one of those people that thinks the Niners need to blow everything up. I
See,
still,
we're gonna get to that because I'm kind of opposite for that. So
yeah, I don't think so. I think they've had a lot of successful years. Yes, they haven't won a Super Bowl. They've been to a couple. They haven't been able to finish the job, but like they're having a down year. They've had some unfortunate injuries, like a lot of teams have. But you don't have McCaffrey, you don't have Ayuk. You had all that drama with Ayuk in the offseason. I still think Purdy. Would I give him a long term contract? I'm not sure yet, but I think he's a serviceable, solid quarterback, and I think he's going to continue to get better. Their problem is they're getting a little older. I mean, Trent Williams is one of the older offensive linemen in the league.
right,
So
right,
their offensive line is not strong outside of him. So they definitely have some question marks, but they're still a team that has a good amount of core talent. I like Jawan Jennings as their other receiver because I don't think Debo Samuel is going to be back next season.
right,
Plus there's injury concerns with him too. So I
right,
still think they
exactly,
have good guys at their skill positions. We'll see what happens with McCaffrey. There's speculation that even retiring might be a possibility for him since he's dealt with
right,
so many injuries.
right,
But I say
right.
all that to say, I think Shanahan still makes the most sense for that team, and I think they're definitely not going to get rid of him. Like you said, if anything, there would be like a trade or something that the Bears would do.
Right, right. No, no. So yeah, let me say the report again. So the report was that if the Bears to go after him, right, they would be willing to give up
Right.
draft picks, trade for him. Right. It wouldn't be. It'd be like a John Gruden to Tampa kind of thing. How the
Yeah.
Raiders in Tampa worked out. No, no, he's not leaving there.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
I
why I
don't want.
mentioned that. I'm saying
Yeah,
I know the
I don't want
Niners
our
have.
audience to think that. Oh yeah, he's saying that. Hey, I'm gone. He's not pulling a Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Mhm.
I think I think the Bears will once again try to see how interested Ben Johnson is. Now the question is, are the Bears an attractive job? I mean, history says no. They're kind of like the Jets in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. They just haven't had a lot of success at all recently. But you
Mhm.
do have a quarterback who's actually been playing a lot better over the last couple of weeks with Caleb Williams. There's a lot there. I mean, it's the number one overall pick. You have some good guys at the skill positions. Their defense has been is very underrated this season. I actually think that is a pretty good job. People have their opinions about Ryan Poles, the GM. I mean, he's okay, I guess, but I don't think they'll go after Shanahan. And if I'm Shanahan, I'm trying to stay with the Niners and try to continue to build what they've got there, especially with Purdy getting better and better, in my opinion, each season. So if I'm the Lions, I'm trying to go after Ben Johnson, man.
I mean the Bears. The Bears.
I'm sorry, the Bears. Yeah, if I'm the
Yeah.
Bears, I'm trying to go after Ben. He's on the Lions. That's why I said Lions. But yeah,
Yeah.
if
Gotcha.
I'm the
Gotcha.
Bears, I'm trying to go after him. And if not him, it's a good question. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys. I think now they're definitely going to go offensive because there's going to be other guys like Brian Flores who are going to be. I think he's
Right.
going to be
Right.
a
Right.
candidate for a coaching job this position, but this offseason. But I think the Bears are trying to go back to offense. Like it didn't really work out that well with their former coach who came from the Chiefs. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. He was the Chiefs offensive coordinator, and he was the one that took Trubisky and them to the playoffs. I'm just forgetting his name. But they tried to go the offensive route there, didn't really work out. But I think they have to do it again, especially with a young quarterback. My thing is with young quarterbacks, you should always go offensive coach, in my opinion. Now, when you have
Gotcha.
a veteran
Gotcha.
quarterback like the Steelers do, I think it's okay to as long as your OC's on point, it's okay to have a defensive coach. But yeah, we'll see. I think Ben Johnson would be a good look in Chicago, though.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with you because all right, so just let me just start with Shanahan. Possibly going for the Bears. So I agree with you. The Bears are an attractive job because they have Caleb there who has gotten better throughout the season. Um, they had now Keenan Allen's getting old, but you have DJ Moore. They have the other receiver they were drafted in the first round.
Oh, just this last season. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this last season. I'm blanking on his name. I know he came out of Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have him. They have Swift in the backfield. Even on defense, they have they have talent. They have Jalen Johnson, who's one of the best corners in the league. They have a good defensive end in Montez Sweat. So I think the Bears are an attractive job. Let me just say that I think they are a good job. If I'm them, I would pull the trigger and give up draft picks to go after Shanahan because I think Shanahan would be able to make Caleb do kind of what Purdy is, and I think Caleb has better upside, is more talented than Purdy is. So if you put Shanahan there with the Bears with a capable quarterback like Caleb, I think it's like you're having one of the best offensive minds with a rising quarterback that can be a top, potentially could be a top 5 guy.
Mm.
If I'm the Bears, I would do it. Because with draft picks, you just never know. I mean, they're hit or miss. It's not a guarantee first round picks are going to work out. Now, I'm not saying give a boatload, maybe 1 or 2. I'm not saying give 3 or 4 first round picks, but it's probably going to take at least 2 to get him. You know what I mean? Or to even the San Fran to even consider it. But if I'm the Bears, I would do it. Now, getting to the 49ers as far as the team, where I disagree with you at is that, one, they're going to have to make a decision if they're going to pay Purdy or not. That's coming up. Like, that's right around the corner. That's next season.
It is coming
right.
up.
So, but by what you're saying like, well, I don't know if you would pay him or not. So then where do you go? Because, like, I guess as of right now, because they're not doing well, they're going to have a high draft pick. And I only know a few of the quarterbacks that are really coming out, this year that are considered like, right. It's not a great quarterback draft. Right. So my thing is like, okay.
Yeah, it's just after Shador and like Cam Ward, who a lot of people are mixed on anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see like the Niners saying, well, okay, we're not going to pay Purdy, so we're going to just go get draft a quarterback. I don't see that. So to me, I'm actually in the favor of they should blow it up. I mean, you already mentioned a couple of things why. They're getting old in certain spots. Trent Williams, George Kittle's getting old. You know what I mean? Like, he's still productive, and he's, still one of the best tight ends in the league, but he's getting older. And he gets banged up, throughout the season.
Every season, it seems like.
Exactly. McCaffrey, like you said, is contemplating retirement. I agree. I don't think Debo's going to be there next year. And even on defense, they're getting a little older. Fred Warner's not a young guy. He's getting older. Nick Bosa's starting to have injury issues. I know he's not old. He's still in his 20s. But, yeah, I kind of see the writings on the wall. Now, they have some good skill players. Like you said, Juwan Jennings. They have Ward, who's a good corner. They have that safety. I'm blanking on his name, who's really good. So they have some talent. There you go. Right. Yeah, they have talent. But I don't know if those guys are enough to say, okay, well, we can keep it going with the veteran players. Because like you said, I think some guys are not even going to be there next year. So they might even be forced to blow it up, even though they don't want to. And I just don't know how much – I just don't know how much longer Shanahan – is going to want to coach there and keep retooling, rebuilding, you know what I mean? Especially if they don't sign Purdy. I don't know how much longer he's going to want to do that. And listen, man, sometimes coaches want new challenges. They want things that like, all right, I've done this. I've gone to the 49ers. I've taken them to the Super Bowl twice. Obviously I haven't won it. Maybe the Bears is a new challenge. The Bears are such a, prestige organization. They're one of the, considered one of the most historic organizations in the NFL. So maybe that's something, and he knows, again, Caleb is a rising quarterback. He's going there. He's going to get a nice young quarterback who's on the rise. They have a good roster there. I don't see why he wouldn't want to go there. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying he's going to, but I don't see why he wouldn't just because of the fact what I just named of all the players they have there, all the stuff they have there. I'm not really concerned with the GMs. I don't know a lot of GMs around the NFL. I mean, yeah, Ryan Poles, he may not be good. He may be okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll tell you this. If he pulls off getting Shanahan, you may forget how bad he is or if you think he's whatever. Because I think you get Shanahan there, that's a significant upgrade of what they just had. You know what I mean?
Would you prefer they do that than go get like a Ben Johnson?
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up too. So what I've been hearing about Ben Johnson is that he's not a great interviewer. It's almost like the Eric Bieniemy thing. Like,
well, who cares?
A lot of people think he's a great coordinator. He might just be a great.
Can you coach football? I don't. Interviews.
Yeah, you're right.
There are people that do great in interviews that suck at their job. There are people that do bad in interviews that are great at their job.
Right.
What's your X's and O's? What have you put on tape? What have your offenses put on tape? That I don't. I'm being real. If I'm interviewing Ben Johnson, I'm asking him 3 questions, interviewing a couple other candidates because I have to, and I'm hiring him. I don't really care what he.
So you don't take in consideration that a coach also should be able to like galvanize guys or motivate them.
That has nothing to do with interviews.
No, but what I'm saying to you is, I listen. I don't know what's going on in interviews. Neither do you. We don't know what's being asked and what's being said. I'm just going off what I've been hearing. Now, you're right. X's and O's, of course, that's very important because you got to know exactly what you're doing. But I think sometimes certain coaches and even coordinators are just good coordinators because of their personality. Like Ben Johnson doesn't seem to me like a dude that I don't know him, and we don't know, he's only been a coordinator, that he can really galvanize or like motivate. Like the one thing that you've always said about Bill Cowher was he was a great motivator. He was a great, you know what I mean? He was a player's coach. He wasn't a big X's and O's guy. He knew how to galvanize guys. And I think sometimes with these X's and O's guys, while they're great at their, putting plays together, doing this and being very creative, where they fall short is sometimes is like they're very robotic, or they're not, I'm not saying you have to always be a rah-rah dude, but sometimes you have to be a coach where the guys are going to follow you and you have to motivate them. And if you're just kind of drawing up plays and saying, okay, make it go work, and not really, I don't say you have to get personal with them, but, I think, in all sports now, it's a players' league. Like you have to be obviously connect with the players. So that's what I've been hearing. I just hear he's very like robotic. He's very like, hey, I'm just here to do the X's and O's. Just go out there. I call the play. You call the play. That's it. He's not, and I'm not saying got to be Dick Vermeil, crying all the time and all that either. But I think you do have to have some element of like guys wanting to be behind you and follow you and not just call plays. Because that's what I'm saying. Coordinators just call plays. So that's why, again, it's just rumored. Like I said, that's what has been said around the NFL, that he's very, he's a great coordinator. He knows X's and O's, but he's not really he's kind of like a quiet guy. He doesn't really say much. He's very just like, hey, this is the play. Boom. I'm not gonna pat you on your back and do all that. Like Dan Campbell. Okay, so for instance, Dan Campbell's the complete opposite of him. You know what I mean? Like Dan Campbell, I don't think Dan Campbell's a great X's and O's guy. He's just a great motivator. He has great sound bites. You know what I mean? Right. He's very, with the players, he's a player's coach. Sometimes you need that. You know what I mean? I think you need both, obviously. Both need to be accounted, but I think you can't just have one without the other. So I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not saying he shouldn't get the job if the Bears are not to go to Shanahan route and you hire him. Yeah, I think it's still a good hire. And we just have to wait and see, because I think they would be obviously better on offense. But I just question if he, from what I've been hearing, if he's going to be a good head coach, or will he just be a great coordinator? Because we've said it before, some guys are just great coordinators, and that's okay. That's fine.
I want to see him get a shot, though. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's cool to have a rah-rah guy, but like, I also want a guy, like you said, that can call plays and like that.
Right.
Too. I haven't heard that about him, so maybe you just heard things I haven't heard. But like, to me, I think he's going to have his pick. Like, if he wants to go to Jacksonville, if he wants to go to Chicago, I think he's going to have options. They're going to go based off of what he's put on tape, like I said earlier. So he's going to have his options. Now, he's in a great situation. He's going to be offered, he's going to be one of the highest paid coordinators, as he should be now.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, I think every team's a little different. Like, some teams thrive a little bit more having that rah-rah dude. There's been plenty of coaches in the NFL that have not been strong in either one. I mean, Tony Dungy wasn't a rah-rah dude, but like it worked well for him. I mean,
but Tony Dungy, I don't even think Tony Dungy was an X and O's guy, because remember, he was more of a defensive guy. But with Tony Dungy,
he was a defensive guy on. He
was. And, yeah, but I think what Tony Dungy did, remember, he was very, well, of course, his personal life, he was very religious. And from what I've heard with Tony Dungy was, even though he wasn't a rah-rah guy, the players respected him because he still treated them like men and respectfully. You know what I mean? He didn't like, he wasn't like Dan Campbell, but he still was motivational in his own way. You know what I mean? So that, Peyton Manning talked about it. Like, yeah, like he didn't yell. He didn't have to yell or like curse or anything, but he said stuff in a way where guys still respected him. And, you still want to follow him. You know what I mean? And plus, I mean, you're talking about Tony Dungy, who had years of experience. Like, I mean, before he got even to the Colts, he was successful with Tampa Bay. Yeah, they didn't go to the Super Bowl, but, remember, they were winning, playoff games. He was getting to the NFC Championship game. So he already had that cachet of being a good coach, you know what I mean, being that type of guy. I'm just saying Ben Johnson's never been a head coach, so we don't know. You know what I'm saying?
He's a rah-rah guy?
He's not, but obviously I'm a fan of the Cowboys. I know that he does stuff where he has them watch, a lot of motivational tapes, or he does little like demonstrations to kind of prove his point. So that's all I'm saying. Like, even him, right. I don't think McCarthy's a rah-rah dude, but I think he still is able to connect with the players in a way where for them to understand. Because I think McCarthy is an X and O's guy. That's what he is. He's an X and O's.
He's a play caller.
He's a play caller, right?
That calls plays, yeah.
But I think he's not a guy that just doesn't say anything. Yeah, no, he's definitely still encouraging, or he still tries to coach. You know what I mean? And again, and McCarthy was with Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, he had cachet, just like you mentioned Tony Dungy. When he came to the Cowboys, he had already won a Super Bowl. I mean, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, he had Aaron Rodgers," but yeah, no, he was considered a good coach in Green Bay. So, at least till the end. So yeah, like I said, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying if they hired Ben Johnson, I'm gonna be upset or like, oh man, they should have gone Shanahan. That's on the Bears. They can do what they want. I'm just saying that if I were them, I would prefer to go after Shanahan because we know what he brings. We know what he can do.
I don't think Shanahan's like a big rah-rah guy either, though. I think he's an X and O's guy. Like, and that's worked for them. Like this, so that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the rah-rah part's important, but ultimately what's made Shanahan so successful is the cerebral part of his coaching. Like his creativity, which a lot of people think has been, kind of lacking as of late. But like, yeah, I say all that to say, like, I'm willing to take that chance. Like, hey, if it doesn't work out, I mean, I understand, hiring new coaches is an investment, of course. Like,
right.
But from what I've seen the Lions do, and him turning around one of the worst organizations in the sports, of course Dan Campbell too, but like I've seen enough for me to say, all right, I'm gonna give this guy a shot. Is he gonna have the guys fired up running out the tunnel? I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm willing.
But I've seen Shanahan show emotion on the sideline. It's not like I've seen Shanahan. Shanahan's not just stoic or just standing there. Like he's not. Who is it that was like that? Like he's not. He's not like a Martz or a Lovie Smith where we used to be like
Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is very laid back.
He is. Right. He is. That's true. Right. Yeah. So he's not. Yeah. But I don't think Shanahan's even Todd Bowles. I've seen him show emotion and stuff on the sidelines, or even show emotion with the refs. I just think right. I mean, obviously he's more known for his innovation in the offense and stuff, and I get all that. But yeah. I mean, again, either way, if they want to go after Johnson, fine. Like I said, I have no issue with that. I'm just saying that I just like the fact if they were to go get Shanahan, you give him a couple draft picks, the potential of what you can have in Chicago with Caleb, who to me is a better quarterback than Purdy, or is going to be a better quarterback than Purdy.
I think so.
It'd be very dangerous, right? And they have a good defense. You know what I mean? Like Shanahan is good at hiring good defensive coordinators. You know what I mean? Look at all the ones that
always have good coordinators.
Right. Look at all the ones that have gone to be head coaches. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like Ben Johnson's obviously new, and it would be a breath of fresh air and all that because it'll be his first coaching job, and we saw what he's done with the Lions in the last 2 years. Yeah, I'm not taking any away from that. But Shanahan's established. He's taken the 49ers to 2 Super Bowls. They lost, and they lost to the Chiefs, obviously. But yeah, you know what I mean? So you have that cachet. If I'm a GM, I might be like, yeah, I'm willing to pull the trigger to get Shanahan. You know what I mean?
How would you feel if the Cowboys, hypothetically, hired Ben Johnson? How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't like it. I think Jerry would run him. I just think he'd be another yes man.
I think that's what people think Jerry's going to have regardless of the coach. It's always going to be a yes.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't like it for the Cowboys because I just think Jerry's going to be like, oh, he's a first time head coach. I can do what I want.
So you want somebody that's going to push back a little bit.
Correct. So that's why I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I am more of a favor of a Belichick or somebody like, I don't see like Mike Vrabel's. I don't really know much about. I know he was really good with the Titans. I don't know how he. Yeah, I don't know if he would push back on Jerry. I don't know. He may be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And then
he's a veteran coach.
He is. That's true. That's true. And he comes from the Belichick tree. He comes from the Belichick tree. So you're right. I mean, that's why I'd rather those two, just because I think they would push back on Jerry. I don't think Ben Johnson's not pushing back on Jerry Wise.
No, the first time coaches aren't going to do that.
Exactly. So I think. If you're right, Jerry would probably want that more because he's like, well, I can just tell this dude whatever, you know what I mean? And he's just going to do it. So, and I don't want that for him, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want that for him as his first job.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I was just hypothetical.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying if McCarthy's gone, I think Jerry will at least interview him or go after him. But if I'm Johnson, I'm not taking the job because it's just like, dude, he's gonna run through you. You know what I mean?
Vrabel, you'd be okay with.
Vrabel and Belichick, yeah. Like I want to establish coach, and we just had an offensive coach, so I don't mind getting a defensive coach. Like obviously Belichick and Vrabel
I
are more
agree. Just
defensive minded.
make sure your OC's on point. If you get
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And I'm a big believer they'll get good OCs, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, but I think the Cowboys need an established coach, somebody's going to be able to push back on Jerry. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so the last topic we'll get into in the NFL. So we've talked about this like all season, and I think V and you have always talked about this for the past like few years. So obviously there people that think the Chiefs are a fraud, even though they're 11-1. Obviously I don't know. People have been on Instagram, Twitter, all these different social media sites where a lot of people have been saying, I think even though the Chiefs are 11-1, they're not really believing that they can win the Super Bowl this year like they did the last 2 years, that they can't three-peat. And when you look at the numbers, so I'm going to compare them to a team. I remember how you felt about, I don't know what year it was when Pittsburgh was 11-1. 2020, right? Where they were 11-1. I think they had 6 games with like 1-score wins. They were good defensively because they were only allowing like 17 points a game, so they were really good defensively. But I know you weren't really buying it because they were beating bad teams by like that score, like when the Texans were bad, and I remember you were like, yeah, they beat the Jags by like 2 and 1, and these weren't good teams. And it's kind of similar happening to the KC. When you look at their points, they're averaging 24 points a game. They're allowing 19 points a game. They're 11-1, but they've had actually more 1-score wins than that 2020 Pittsburgh team. I think they've had 9. So I guess my question to you is, and I kind of know what you're going to say, is this a bad sign for KC going forward, going into the playoffs? Do you believe that they can, do you think they'll get, in good form come playoff time? Or do you think like, no, I kind of see it going where they're either going to be one and done or they're going to lose in the playoffs and not really repeat?
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been saying it all season. And as far as the comparisons to the Steelers, I mean, these are the defending champs, back-to-back champs. So, like, I've seen comparisons made between them two, and I don't think that's fair to the Chiefs. I mean, that Steelers team was not a Super Bowl contender. Whereas, by default, we have to say the Chiefs are,
Okay.
But, oh, no, I'm not buying the Chiefs, man. I think the Chiefs is going to be a quick out. Look, we might be on this podcast 2 months from now like, oh, well, who do you like in the Super Bowl? The Chiefs or the Eagles? The Chiefs or the Lions, who you got? But
right.
I just don't see it. They just don't, bro. Like they've had games just like the other teams just screw up. Like the Raiders, what a disaster! Like, come on, like you had. And look, they blocked the field goal against the Broncos. Props to them for doing that. But like, he's barely getting by. Look what happened when they played Buffalo, and the game wasn't even as close as that score. Buffalo dominated that game.
Right.
They better hope they're at home. They're not winning in Buffalo. I don't see it. They can get upset even by we know how erratic the Ravens can be. One day they look like the greatest show on turf, part 2. And then, they don't play on turf, but you know what I mean.
Right.
They look like the greatest thing we've seen on offense, and then the next week they like lose to the Raiders at home. So it's like we don't know what we're going to get out of the Ravens. They're kind of an enigma.
What about your team? I mean, Pittsburgh can probably, they got a shot.
Pittsburgh is another team where it's like they're kind of a sleeper. People still aren't sure how far this whole Russell Wilson thing is going to go. But the defense consistently, they lead the league in turnovers. They've the most turnovers. So even they're going to give them a lot of competition if they do play each other. So I just feel like there are teams that are just a little more balanced than they are, that are more explosive than they are on offense. I just don't see it, man. I might be wrong, and I'm curious what you think because I know you've been preaching it to me, and I get it. You have a great point. We've seen this before, but even the almighty Patriots and that dynasty couldn't win 3 straight Super Bowls. And I think that team was more dominant than these Chiefs teams, in my opinion. So if they couldn't do it, even they had years where they were kind of like not as explosive offensively. And, remember they had a 10-year stretch. They didn't even win a Super Bowl from the mid 2000s to the, mid to late 2010s. They didn't even win a Super Bowl. So, and that was the greatest coach and the greatest quarterback ever. Now, these two guys might be right behind them as far as all-time greats.
Right.
So,
all I'm
saying is, yes, I understand that. Well, we've seen it before. That means it doesn't mean we'll see it again, and I don't think we're going to see it again. Now, like I said, I know I could look crazy, but Also, if wild card weekends or the divisional round comes around and they're home, I'm gonna be like, I didn't see it.
Right, I know because I mean obviously if they went out, they'll have a bye, so then we wouldn't see them until the divisional round.
We'll see if they even get the 1 seed. Like there's still
right,
a lot
exactly,
left. Yeah,
exactly, yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm very curious what you're gonna say. I have no idea where you're going.
I mean, look, bro, I was actually off of them more last year than I was this year, but just because remember, I think if we can go back to the old podcast, I was like, man, how are they doing this with no receivers? Like, who the hell did they have out there? I'm like, they got
Darius Tony.
Yeah, I was like, who are these dudes? Like, it was almost like remember in college it'd be like when I was like Phillip Rivers was throwing to like dudes at the practice squad. I'm like, how is this?
Like a dude Nene.
Yeah, how is he doing this? Like, you know what I mean? So last year I was more. I was like, dog, I don't see it. They're not gonna win. And sure enough, came right. Will we have a show like right before Super Bowl? Like, yeah, well, they're there again. Who you got? Because I remember you were kind of off them a little bit too, not as much as you are this year.
Not as much. I still like.
Yeah, like I remember last year, you actually gave more. You still kind of saw. You're like, I can still see them going to Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm kind of how you are last year, this year. Like, dog, I'm sorry, I got to see it to believe it, bro. I just okay. My gut tells me, and this is my gut. This is my heart.
What does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you?
That they're gonna do it again, bro. And
they're not doing it again.
You're gonna be on the show, like you said, the day before the week of the Super Bowl. And we're like, yeah, they're there again. Are you gonna bet against them? You know what I mean?
I am. They're not winning it this year. I don't see it. I'm not buying the Chiefs. I'm not.
Listen. We should have a little friendly wager on it. I mean, either way, we'll both admit if we were wrong, right?
Well, I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't like. I thought they were worse last year because they actually have receivers this year. Now, I will say this to you.
They're cool. I wouldn't say that like. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is not the same receiver anymore.
He's still better than Kadarius Toney. Who else did they have?
He was awful though. That's different.
Yeah, and then I know they had like Rashid Rice, and then who's the other dude?
Like they're cool.
Who's the other dude they had last year who made the game winner last year? Was it Coleman? What's this guy's name?
Mecole Hardman. Are you talking about?
To me, he only shows up in the postseason. He doesn't do anything during the season. Like, I haven't heard his name. I'm like, where's he been at?
Wait. Which one of their wideouts is really scaring you, though? Is DeAndre Hopkins still scaring you? Like,
that's what's scaring you. I think Worthy has a lot of upside. He's a rookie. Like, I get it.
He does have upside.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie. Like, yeah, he's not Justin Jefferson, but I think mark my word, he's going to be a Pro Bowler. I think he'll be a Pro Bowler. Really?
This year?
I think so. Worthy in the future.
I can see that.
Yeah. Worthy's going to be a Pro Bowler. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, he is going to be a Pro Bowler at some point, maybe even next year. So to me, they have more talent on that position now. Where I will agree with you on is that Mahomes is not playing well. Like, he has more interceptions than touchdowns. Like, he doesn't look great at all.
Is that true?
The last time
more turnovers than touchdowns overall.
Right, correct. I'm sorry, more turnovers than touchdowns. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that one I will agree on you. Like, he doesn't look great.
That's big. That
is big. I get it, and that's big.
That's huge.
But the one thing I will say is that even though they were good last year, their defense is really good this year, with the exception of the Buffalo game. You know what I mean? They've been lights out. Like,
yeah, they've been really good.
I think you even said during the season, you were like, yeah, to me, what's really carrying them is the defense. It's not really the offense anymore. Yeah, because Kelsey's old. Like, I'm being real. Kelsey should be retired after this, especially if they win it. Just retire.
Well, supposedly him and LeBron should be retiring.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that next. But yeah, dude. Like, listen, you win it this year. Go on with Taylor Swift. Live your life. Go do the podcast with your brother. Yeah, please. Like, especially if they win it, I don't want to see him back next year. Like, it was a good run. You got 4 Super Bowls. You're good. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, man, I'm gonna see to believe it, guy. Like, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if they get home field and they get that bye, I'm gonna say they at least go into the AFC Championship game. Now they probably will meet Buffalo, but dog, I have the gut feeling. I just feel like we're gonna be sitting here the week of the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I told you, bro.
We're gonna be like, man, Bills Steelers. or Bills Ravens or Bills. What other team is there? I don't know.
What, the Texans?
Or it could be Bills Chiefs, but I don't think the Chiefs will win.
Right. So you're saying that even if they mean the AFC Championship, you think the Bills can go in there and still win?
Yeah.
Right. That could happen too, because obviously I think Baltimore. Burrow's gone into KC and beat them.
Yeah, that's not possible. I think Baltimore. And that was a better Chiefs team.
It was, yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying to you, just don't be surprised or shocked that we're sitting here week of again, and then we're like, yeah, it's happening again. Because I'm telling you right, Kwab, this is where I'm 100% confident. If they get to the Super Bowl,
100%?
no, listen, and we can have even a friendly bet. If they get to the Super Bowl, they're winning it. I don't care who they play in the NFC.
Why?
They play the Lions. They play.
They've lost in the Super Bowl before. Why is that against?
Yeah, but it's Brady. Brady's different. Brady's a different monster. Brady just, I don't know what it is with Brady and Belichick and that whole crap. I don't know. It annoys me. I don't want to talk about it. It annoys me.
But even they couldn't do it. So why are the Chiefs so automatic if the Patriots weren't automatic to win 3 straight? Why are they automatic?
Yeah, but those years that you're talking about, they weren't automatic. They weren't also the number 1 seed. They were probably like a 3rd or 4th. Like, remember that year?
Remember they lost at home to the Ravens. Like, they were number 1 seeds.
Right, but remember that Ravens game, they were in the wild card. They didn't have a bye. Since I'm just saying to you, they weren't like those Patriots teams you're talking about. They weren't number 1 seed. They were still a good team. They were like 2nd or 3rd. They went in the wild card round. They lost in the wild card.
A couple of them years they were number 1 seeds though. I'm gonna have to go back and look.
You have to go back and look. I know that one when Ray Rice was on the team when they beat the team.
Here's what we do remember when Mark Sanchez went in there and beat them. That was a number 1 seed.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was the AFC Championship game, wasn't it?
They lost in the divisional round. They were 1 and done.
Oh, that was the divisional round. It
definitely wasn't because the Jets ain't going to no Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. They lost to
the Steelers in the title game.
That's right. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, if the Patriots haven't done it, why am I supposed to be so convinced that this team that looks offensively just okay is a lot to get to?
Did the Patriots ever go back to back?
Well, we're talking about going back, like winning. I don't think they ever went to 3 straight Super Bowls.
Right, but I'm saying, have the Patriots ever even won back to back?
Yeah, they won back to back in the 2000s. Remember, they beat the Rams and they beat the Panthers.
Oh, that's right. They did go back.
Well, it was the Rams, and then they didn't make the playoffs the next year, and then I believe they beat the Panthers and the Eagles.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
Eagles,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
They won 3 out of 4.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, like I said, bro, I don't know. I just had that.
If they get to the Super Bowl, to you, why is it automatic that they would beat Philly, that they would beat the Lions, that they would beat
because of who they would have had to go through in the AFC? Like, to me, okay, all right. So let's say they don't get a number 1 seed, right? So that means they're right. They play wild card weekend. So they're probably going to play a team like, I don't really know.
The Texans or something?
Well, the Texans will probably have a home game because they're going to win that division.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to play the Texans. So I'm trying to think of like the wild card teams. So like Denver.
It could be Baltimore.
Right. Baltimore.
Chargers.
So let's just say, okay, like they're all right. So it's on the wild card round. They beat one of those 3 teams. Okay. I'm sure they're not going to get a lot of props of beating now. They're like, yeah, well, they had home field. Cool. So that means the next game, they probably have to go either to Buffalo or somewhere. Well, no, because I think they'll get the 2 seed. I don't think, I think even if Pittsburgh wins that division, they get the 3 seed. So
yeah, the Steelers are looking like a 3 seed.
Correct. So that means the Steelers would then have to come to them. And as much as I like the Steelers and I think they can go far, okay, let's say they go through the Steelers. So that means they would have beaten. Let's just say somebody beat Baltimore and then they go and they beat Pittsburgh. So then they go to Buffalo in that weather. Now if they win and go into Buffalo and win in that weather, dog, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is because I didn't think they were gonna win that Ravens game last year. I was like, oh, the Ravens are gonna win this. They're going to the Super Bowl.
I thought the Ravens would lose.
Really?
Yeah, I did. You can even ask our good friend B Rice. I just thought the Chiefs and that momentum they had as being a road dog, because they're probably going to be, if they're at home, they're going to be the favorites, as they should be. But like, them being road dogs and like the lack of success Lamar has had against them in key spots, I thought the Chiefs would win that game. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, obviously Allen's never beaten Mahomes in a playoffs game. He's 0-2, 0-3? He's
0-2, but man, once again, bro, I'm so tired of, like, yes, he hasn't, but he's played well. And he gave them the lead with 14 seconds left. Come on. That's not on him, man.
Yeah. So, again, all right, so let's get back to the point, though. So he goes through that gauntlet, right?
Is that a gauntlet, though? Because, like, the Bills, look, just real. People, the Steelers aren't considered, like, a juggernaut. Like, they're a good team.
Yeah, but the AFC is a better division, bro. Like, outside of the Lions and the Eagles, who do you have as a Super Bowl winning in the NFC?
You could argue that those are the 2 best teams in the NFL right now. There's an argument for that.
Here's an argument. It is.
And
It is.
like the Packers were also a good team. There's still the Vikings. All these. I'm not saying the Vikings are like, oh, they could get to the Super Bowl, but like they're not going to be easy out, especially with that defense. And like,
yeah, they won. But see how you feel about the Vikings, how I feel about the Packers too. Like, yeah, I think they're a good team, but
okay, see, I like the Packers. I like the Packers actually. I think.
I mean, they can win a playoff game, and then it's like, all right. I just think the AFC is a lot tougher than the NFC. Like for what the Lions. To me, I'm sorry, the Lions and Eagles. It's like to me, it's a foregone conclusion of what's going to be the NFC Championship game. I don't trust those other teams.
If you were to pick a team to pull off an upset and prevent that matchup from happening, who would you pick? Would it be the Vikings? Would it be the Packers?
I know you may not agree with this because I actually think they're going to win the division, but I'm going to say like a team like the Bucks.
I like that pick. They can. You know how the Bucks are. If they're playing well, they can beat almost.
Bro, you realize last year after they beat Philly, they lost to the Lions by 1 point in that next game. Remember they could easily been in the NFC Championship game going against the Niners. Now I'm not saying they would have beat the Niners, but dude, they lost by 1 point in Detroit. Remember they beat Detroit this year in Detroit.
Bro, I would not want to see the Bucks because they play with this like we don't care mentality. They just
right.
And remember, they play the Chiefs this year. They barely lost to the Chiefs. Like
barely lost.
It might have been overtime, or it went down to the wire.
Right,
Chiefs game that they barely won.
Right. So, yeah, bro. So that's the only team I can see going into. Right, they can go into Philly or go into Detroit, and I can see the Bucks doing.
Why don't you like the Packers to do that?
I don't know, because as much as I like Jordan Love, he throws it a lot to the other team sometimes. And I just have a feeling he's going to have one of those playoff games where we're going to be like, uh-oh, 2 picks, 3 picks. And it's like, all right, it's over. It's a wrap.
You can get a little interception heavy.
Exactly. And then, let's be real, whoever comes out of the West, somebody's going to win that division like at 9-8. Like, you really trust the Seahawks or the Cardinals?
The Rams or the Seahawks?
No. Yeah, I don't trust them. No, they're not winning that. So then, and like you said, the Vikings, it's a great story. Sam Darnold ain't going to lead them to no even NFC Championship game. I'm sorry. That's not happening. It's a great story, but that will either be a one-and-done team where they may be in one playoff game and they're like, oh, okay, well, that was good. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you on the flip side. Let me ask you on the other side, because I think you'd probably say what you're expecting is Chiefs-Bills. We don't know who's at home, but that's...
Yeah, I'm expecting it, yeah.
Now, same question. What team would you pick to potentially spoil that? Would it be Baltimore? Would it be Pittsburgh? Would it be
Pittsburgh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. That's the only thing. Because Denver, that's another great story. They've improved under Champagne, but I think they're going to be one and done. Chargers just don't have enough. I've never been big on the Chargers all year. Now, I will say...
Props to them, though. Props to Harbaugh.
Props to them, though, because I didn't have them really that great when we did our preseason picks. I think
Harbaugh's proven he's a good coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach, but I just think they'll be one and done.
Yeah, like you said, they're up on offense.
The Ravens could beat somebody. They're just too up and down for me. They're too inconsistent, and that Justin Tucker thing is concerning me. The kicking game, that's really concerning because I just think if he does that and it comes into the playoffs, that's not good. The Steelers have everything, offensively, defensively. They have the coach, so that's the only team I can see upsetting a Bills or upsetting KC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be the only team. Texans, no, because
they've been back this year. They've had a lot of injuries. Their O-line.
Yeah, have a lot of injuries. They don't have a good O-line. Stroud hasn't been good as he was last year. He's been kind of up and down. Yeah, so I don't see that. Just the Steelers, really. So I think right now I would say it's Bills, Chiefs.
Yeah, I think
in the AFC Championship game.
It's a safe pick. Yep.
Yeah, but I think if the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl, bro, I'm not gonna bet against them. You're
not gonna bet Sirianni versus Andy Reid?
Oh no! Yeah, come on, that's laughable. Yeah. Now, like Dan Campbell is a good coach, so that's a better matchup. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I give the Lions more of a shot than I did with the Eagles of beating KC. I would give the Lions more of it because obviously the Lions went there last year and beat them in the opening game, and the Lions even in the NFC Championship game they went down to the wire with the Niners. In the NFC Championship, and obviously the Niners prevailed. But they're the only team I can. If it's going to be Lions Chiefs, I give the Lions a better shot.
I will say this because the Chiefs aren't as dominant. I'm super intrigued by these playoffs. I think the AFC playoffs are going to be awesome. Because we don't really know what's going to happen. Are the Bills finally going to do it? Are the Chiefs going to prove that? Yep, we can. Like you said, they look bored in the regular season. Maybe they've just been bored. are the Steelers? Oh my God, Russell Wilson actually is leading them to the like. What is going to happen? And like, even in the NFC, like, are the Lions going to be in this? Like, the Lions are going to get to the Super Bowl in our lifetime? Like, we're actually going to see this?
Man, listen, man. Nobody is bad forever. I never thought I
Yeah,
would.
the Jets are. The Jets are.
No. But here's the thing. I never thought I would see the Cincinnati Bengals in a Super Bowl. Remember how bad they were during our college years?
They were bad.
Remember, you used to always do the thing. Remember, you used to always
the ball hit the plate.
Yeah, like I was gonna do they were bad forever.
Right here.
You know, Marvin Lewis years, you kind of knew like, yeah, they're gonna be one and done. Like, yeah, they're improved, but they ain't doing nothing. So like, again, I feel like every team goes through this. I mean, yeah, I think we will see the Lions in the Super Bowl in our lifetime. I mean, every team gets over the hump at some point.
Well, we won't see the Jets. I mean, we haven't yet.
Yeah, the Jets, no, because as long as Woody Johnson's there, yeah, it's a wrap.
They haven't been in the Super Bowl since the 60s.
Yeah.
They've been in the Super Bowl since MLK was chilling. Like, that's the last time they were in it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Not long ago, bro.
Unfortunately, I think some of these old owners have to pass away for things to change. I think that's just the reality. Yeah, when it comes to the Jets, and to me, in my opinion, the Cowboys, you know, those are the only time things are going to change when that happens. So, yeah, I think, you know, those fan bases should be. It's going to be, you know, till they are passed on and gone. It's going to be some long seasons coming ahead. Yeah. So,
yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, we'll see.
You trying to go to either you trying to go to me the Steeler playoff game?
If they host, man, how much the tickets would be though?
Yeah, I'm not going. It's gonna be too cold. I'd rather watch.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, because when we went, it was still kind of, you know,
it was really nice. It was like 7
it was nice during the day. Yeah, nah. And then what if it like does the snowing thing? I'm gonna be mad as hell if we out there like.
And if we lose too, like, all right, I'm sitting in the cold and we losing. Yeah,
right. I'm not trying to be like Jamie Foxx in that commercial and that BetMGM commercial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, bro. Yeah. I'm good. But anyway, speaking of it, you brought up your boy LeBron, so we're gonna segue to that. Yeah, bro, your Lakers haven't been looking good, bro. So, all right, so the last two games they've lost by 29 and they lost by 41 points last night. Now, we're recording this show on a Thursday. They played the Heat last night, and then I think a couple nights before that they played the Minnesota. Yeah, they were both on the road, but bro, they've lost by a combined 70 points.
Yeah, it's been bad.
And I think they've lost their last 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7, something like that. It's not good.
For a solid start too.
Right, and they did start off very well. At one point, they were like a top 3 seed in the West, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, now they're back to that familiar play-in spot, which we
exactly.
Ugh.
And then LeBron's averaging about 22. He's still averaging pretty good, 22, 7, and 8. I mean, 9, and I think he's shooting almost 50%, like 49%. Now he hasn't been shooting well from 3. He's been awful from 3. I think he's been shooting. I think he's 0 for 20 with his last 3s. So last time he actually I watched some of the game. At least in the first half, he played well. They just were kind of out of it. You know, once he got a double-digit lead, they were gone. But he actually played better last night.
He played pretty well against the Heat. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, and he didn't take a lot of 3s. I think. I think he's trying to now, you know, do more of the mid-range game, drive, because his 3's just not going down. With all that being said, and I know we had like a little text exchange. Do you think this should be LeBron's last year? And where do you see the Lakers? I mean, obviously they're struggling right now, but where do you see the Lakers going from here?
Yeah, I do think it should be his last year because remember we got to see him play with Bronny. I mean, it was like not long.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron has nothing else to play for. Look, the whole GOAT debate is just going to go on forever. I don't even like to say anybody's right or wrong. I mean, I got mad respect for MJ. I mean, I'm not going to MJ. So there's going to be arguments made for both of those guys for a really long time. He has nothing else to prove. They're not winning a title. He's still going to go out on a relatively high level as far as individual performances go.
Right.
Lakers may end up being a play-in team once again, but I mean, LeBron's still going to have a respectable. But his 21st season, he averaged 20 points a game. Like that's awesome, you know.
Right. Not to cut you over, but Anthony Davis has actually been averaging.
He's been awful recently too.
Oh, recently, yeah, because before that,
last night 8.
No, before that, because I think. Yeah, before that, they were saying he was like an early MVP candidate. Oh,
I didn't heard that. You know him. He hears that and he starts playing that. So he had 8 points against the Heat, and then the game before that he had 12. It's like, what are you doing? And then a couple games before that he had like 15. It's like he's doing that AD thing again. He starts balling, and then when people start looking at him, he starts sucking. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, because they were saying he was an early MVP. He was balling, but yeah, no, you can't have 8 points, bro. You can't be an MVP candidate and have 8 points, and then or even have 12. Go, dude. That's 20. You've had 20 points in 2 games. That's like 10 points a game. That's not good.
No. So yeah, the Lakers. You know, and the thing is, like, I hope they give JJ Redick some time because I do think I see some good things. I think
I was gonna say. Well, that's one of the things I was gonna say. JJ, I think, is the coach of the future. You know what I mean?
So. And I think I think the players respect him, which is important.
Yeah, too. for sure.
And like, he's a tell it as is dude. Like, he's not going to be one of those guys that like holds back what he wants to say.
And I don't think this is a JJ problem. You know, as far as like why you guys are struggling, like, he's not the issue. The coach is not the issue.
And when you want to real who the real issue is Rob Pelinka. Because these rosters ain't been that great.
Yeah, well, you can say that for the last 3 years.
I haven't been a fan of the Lakers ownership since Jerry Buss died. So,
wow, that was a while ago.
But what have they done? Like, yes, they did win a title the COVID year. Like, and I don't want to be one of those people that doesn't credit them for that. But like, come on, man. Like, they haven't. Remember when he first passed away and his like son took over? He was awful. Was awful. So, yeah, there's bigger issues with them, and like people are like, oh well, what are they going to do at the trade deadline? It's like, well, what assets do they have? Nobody really wants D'Lo. Like, ooh, D'Angelo Russell.
right.
One game,
you're going to do D'Lo and Achimura and who else? Because that's what you have to get.
Yeah, fine. Like, these guys are cool. Like,
here's the thing. I know you don't want to probably give up Reeves and Dalton. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have to.
You got to. He's a rookie. You got to keep him.
Exactly, but I don't even think they want. Even though Reeves is, I know Austin Reeves is hurt right now. I don't think they want to give him up either. Because that's what for you to get somebody across, you're gonna probably have to give those 3 players: Reeves, D'Lo, and Achimura. Not right. I mean, Achimura, whatever.
They give up D'Lo, but what's D'Lo's value is the problem.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But I think because D'Lo's value is not strong, you're gonna have to give up those 2 other players. And it's like, then who do you get in return? To where you think that one player can make up what they all combine? I don't think they can. I don't think that person, because who you gonna like? The only people I can see them getting that's like, oh, okay, like maybe like a Trae Young or a you're gonna have to get somebody that's like maybe on an expiring contract that they don't know if they're gonna sign.
Trae Young's been a name that's been rumored. Yeah,
right. Trae Young's been a name that's been rumored. I know Cade Cunningham. Even though he's playing, if
I'm Detroit, I don't.
Right, I don't give him up because I know, but he's on that. He earn a contract next year, so yeah, it's just again, I don't know if I'm those teams, I don't even give those players because they're young and they have a lot of upside. I just think you have to put players around those guys. But yeah, I mean, even if you get those guys, I still don't think that's enough because from a production standpoint, they're not gonna do what 3 other guys, combined can do. Yeah, I just don't see it. So I'm with you on that. And I'm also in agreement with you and LeBron.
Yeah.
I just think LeBron should retire. Like, yeah, everything you just kind of said. He has nothing else to prove. Right.
He's not going to win another title.
He's not going to win another title. Right. They're pretty much headed in the same direction they were last year as far as the playing game. Yes, he really has nothing else to play for. I mean, like you said, the GOAT debate's going to go on forever. With whatever side you're on, you're not wrong. Both have great points and sides or whatever. So I don't think that's motivating him because it's like, right, you're not going to win a title. You're not going to win another MVP. So I don't really know what he's playing for at this point. You have the scoring record. You have the all-time playoffs, points. I mean, he's broken so many records, and he's going to finish top 3 in assists. You know what I mean?
Like you said, everything, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what else is left to do or prove. Like you said, he played with his son. It was a very short sample, but yeah, if I'm him, listen, this, it's been a great run. I mean, he's going to be 40 at the end of this month. Like you said, in his 23rd year, he's averaging over 20 points. That's a great, note to go out on. Yeah, I just don't know really what he's playing for at this point and what the motivation is. I mean, I always feel like, he could still play at a high level. Yeah, so could Mike when he was playing, but it doesn't mean that they should still be playing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Mike could have Mike wasn't done after they won with the Bulls that 98 season. Obviously, they had the lockout, but I'm sure Mike would have been good the next season. But I think sometimes athletes know, or athletes are smart enough to kind of get out when they're on a high note, even though they can still play, they leave. Because I'm not a big fan of I've never been in that notion of Peyton Manning saying, play till you suck. No. Please don't do that.
No, I don't see it.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of like when I hear athletes say, "Oh, play till you." No, do not play till you suck because it never ends well. They look terrible. You know what I mean? Like you never want to see them like that because you remember them as such a great player. So I'm always in favor of a guy retiring when they still can play, when they on a high note, like you said, when they can still play at a high level that they haven't lost anything. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with that. Especially when you have nothing to prove or nothing to play for. Like, what are you playing for? For what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have all the accolades. You've won championships. You won MVPs. What more is there to do? So I'm with you. I think if I'm him, I would retire at the end of the year. But who knows? What's going to happen? Yeah,
and, and we wouldn't be surprised. Like LeBron seems like the type that's going to be doing a lot once he retires.
Oh yeah, he has a production company. He has all these shows.
I wouldn't be shocked if Vegas gets a team if he's involved in that process too.
Well, that's his dream. He's talked about that, plenty of times, and that's what he wants to do.
If I'm him, I'm looking at the clock like, yo, after this season, it's a wrap. I'm out.
Right. Yeah, like you said, the Lakers are not going anywhere. Right, it's a playing game. I mean, I watched that game last night. Yeah, they looked, especially on D, they look awful on defense.
Yeah, they weren't even defending guys. It's like
right. And even LeBron wasn't defending, and I get it. He's older. So he has spent all his energy on the offensive side. He can't really play like the defense he wants. Yeah, so man, I think it's it should be a wrap for LeBron. And like you said, the Lakers are probably headed to another playing game. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but man, before we get out of here, it's not really considered old because it seems like this has been talked about every day. And my wife Ellie is into this. Like she watches all these YouTube reactions and how with the stories because obviously they've been talking about it on all these podcasts, but I'm sure you heard Kwab. Obviously, Drake is suing his record label UMG, which is Universal Music Group,
for defamation.
And over the fact that they've, I guess, in the lawsuit, he's saying they've given more promotion to Kendrick. So Kendrick is also under UMG, even though he has his own PJ Lang label. The PJ Lang label, I think, is in partnership with TDE, and TDE is under Universal Music Group. Well, I think it's Interscope, who's also under Universal Music Group. So apparently he's suing because of that, and now it's rumored that they don't know if Kendrick will be able to perform the "They Not Like Us" at the Super Bowl. And there's even further talks that he may not perform at the Super Bowl at all. That I guess the NFL has some contingency plans of just because they don't know what's going to happen with this lawsuit that they may have to find a replacement. I don't think that's going to happen. There's rumors that they've reached out to Lil Wayne as far as like, hey, if he doesn't, if Kendrick doesn't perform, you can be possibly. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with that if that does happen. Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think at most he may not be able to perform. They Not Like Us, and that leave it at that, and just let him do a show. But man, I just want to get your thoughts on this because before you talk, we were talking about it before the show. I would have never thought in our culture, in hip hop culture, the day I would see somebody lose a battle, take it to the court level. Like we come up in. Listen, I'm an '80s baby. You are as well. We see some of the greatest battles in hip hop history, and listen, man. When you take an L, you take an L. Doesn't mean your career's over. We've seen plenty of good rappers take L's and still be great rappers or have good careers. There's always going to be a winner and a loser. So it happens, especially if two good MCs are going against each other. Doesn't make them want to make them less than, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Drake just seems like very. I don't even want to get past the sore loser point. It's giving vibes of like, bro, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to the culture? Like, this is like, dude. I mean, I don't want to say he's done, but him doing this is like, it's almost on the verge of like, yeah, dog. It may be a wrap for you because nobody's going to want to work with him or respect him anymore for doing this. Because my thing is like, okay, so if you get into a beef with him or you don't like him or you say something about him, he's going to take you to court for what you said. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, that's not hip hop, bro. Like, I mean, people have been battling for years and it's all good. If you lose, you take an L, it's all good. Like, it happens. Jay-Z took an L against Nas, and whether Jay-Z fans want to admit it or not, he lost to Nas. It didn't hurt Jay. Jay's still considered the GOAT, so considered one of the greatest rappers of all time. So I just don't get this whole suing, and suing his own label because they're promoting another guy. I mean, they have a bunch of artists besides Drake. I get he's been big for a long time, but they have other artists they have to promote and have to work with because they signed him. So I'm just not understanding, bro. Maybe you can make more sense of this, but yeah, what do you think about the whole situation?
I mean, you covered a lot of it, and I think the key thing about the whole defamation of character thing is obviously if you look at the lyrics, he's saying things like certified pedophile, and he
Mm-hmm.
has an issue with that. And with the song getting as many plays as it's gotten, it's only, in his opinion, maybe damaged his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how has it affected his pockets? I'm not too sure, and I don't know if him suing the label has anything to do with him losing any sort of revenue. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he's suing for like $2 billion too. It's not like millions. He's suing for two
And
billion.
from what I've read, he doesn't. It doesn't look like he's going to end up winning this in any way because
Right, right,
there isn't enough evidence to prove that Spotify or whoever or
right, right.
they're saying that bots have allowed that song to get more plays than it's actually
Mm-hmm.
gotten. Which
Right.
is like, I don't know if Drake's been under a rock, but like anytime you put on the radio, that song was on too. That song is very popular.
Exactly,
people,
exactly.
people
It's
play
like
that
any other
song.
song
Yeah,
when it's
people play that
popular.
song in other countries. People play it at parties.
Right.
Like, it was like a club song for the
And let me
most
just say
part.
this, getting back to the legal standpoint. So my
Yeah,
dad is a judge and still part-time lawyer. He's always told me defamation cases are very hard to prove
yeah.
because you need to like hire an investigator. You got to hire a lot of people to try to go out there and research and prove that they were saying something that was not necessarily true, right? And hurt your reputation. It's
Mhm.
very hard to prove. Like those cases are like under 50%, maybe even like only 25% of those cases go, they win those cases. It's not more not than winning, you know what I mean? That they don't win and they do win. So, even with him doing this, I knew he was going to have a really good shot of winning this anyway, because if you just look at the statistics of it, he doesn't have a really good chance, a high chance of winning these kind of, winning the case just because of past cases where, where first of all, it wasn't even over rap beef. It was over like really people really saying stuff that like, yo, like either was not true and really saying some crazy stuff
Mhm.
that the person really had the right to sue and they still didn't win. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he has much of a case.
And it's kind of it's we've alluded to it a bit, but it's going to ruin his reputation just in the rap world or the hip hop world. Like, bro, like that's not a good look, man. Like, because to me, it just says like, yeah, I lost, and I'm being a sore loser about it. Even
Right.
some of the recent reports that have came out, because he's been streaming with a couple of people, and he's made little side comments like, oh, this is the real Drake. It's ain't no, don't believe those fairy tales that you're hearing, and blah blah blah. So he's definitely still been affected by all this, and he's obviously still hurt by it because he
Oh
feels,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So did he?
I guess last night my wife was telling me he had a Instagram post, of course, of the song TV Off, where everybody's saying mustard, screaming it. He put
Oh, I
something
saw
like,
that.
he said custard or something like that. Now he's calling mustard custard. And
What was he
I,
referring to?
because I guess, mustard's kind of a bigger dude. And he's calling him custard because he's like kind of fat or whatever. It's like, bro, come on. Like, so no, but I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. It's going off what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
he's sounding very sore, losing it, a loser mentality in this kind of thing because,
yeah.
like you can tell he's still affected by it.
And the thing is, like, Drake's reputation was even kind of shaky before that. Like, a lot of people think he's kind of corny, and
Right,
I
right.
remember that famous interview with DMX where he's like, "I don't like anything about Drake. I don't like his looks. I don't like the way he dresses. I don't like the way he
Right,
raps."
right.
But I think there are people in the hip hop community that feel that way about him. Like, man, this guy's corny. Like, look at him now. So
Exactly, right.
I don't know how he's gonna redeem himself after this, man. I don't know.
I don't either, bro. I mean, I know we were talking before the pod. You were saying like, yeah, don't get me wrong. If he was to ever come out, with
Oh, yeah, I'm listening.
another
You
album,
can
and
be a fan of both
right,
guys.
yeah,
That's the
and
thing, like,
it'd be a good album. Yeah, I would definitely admit, it's a good album, but I don't know. I think this is definitely going to hurt him reputation going forward. It won't be the same. You know what I mean?
I guess
Like,
I
I'm not
don't
saying people won't
understand.
listen or whatever, but I think this is definitely going to hurt him.
Well, what I don't understand too is like, why do people always feel like they got to take sides? Like, oh, I'm Team Kendrick. Like, well, I mean, I like both artists. Both artists are, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, but I think
You know,
that's a society thing. Like that's just how we are as human beings. It's always just like getting back to the Jordan LeBron thing, right? You can't like both. You got to like one. It has to be one goat. But
but if you're
there's a
gonna,
lot of people that like both. A lot of people have said, "Oh, I don't know." Like
yeah,
they're both great. But I just think it's the mentality we have in our society, bro. Like it can only be one, which
My issue with that is that if you're going to pick a side, that's fine, but don't diminish what the other side has done. And I think a lot of people do that.
yeah, right. So I agree with you. That's the problem I have too, right? It's like we forget, regardless of whether you're on Kendrick or Drake or not, you can't discredit what the other has done in the past.
The impact they've had on
and the impact they've had on hip hop. Exactly.
They're two of the most influential rappers of all time.
Both of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I agree with that, but I think it's just a society thing, bro. Like I just think people they feel like they have to pick a side. Like even at work, I'm at work and people are like, oh, there's I work with a lot of younger women. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm Team Kendrick all the way. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, all right, you can like both. You know what I mean? You can,
it's allowed.
Yeah, it's allowed, right? You know what I mean? Now you can have your opinion who you think won the battle and stuff. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like everybody has their opinion who won. I think most people, would say Kendrick won, but
who would say Drake won?
Exactly, yeah. So, but even in that being said, and you're saying, oh well, yeah, I think Kendrick beat him and won. You can still be like, oh, but I still like Drake though. You know what I mean?
I will say this though, like, yes, Kendrick won, but like, Family Matters was heat. Like he had some heat.
No, exactly. I mean, look, let's just go back to like the Nas Jay thing. Like, Nas won, but Jay had some fire stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Takeover's still considered one of the greatest disses ever, even though he lost ultimately. Like, yeah, it's still considered one of the greatest disses ever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we were able to get through that. Like, remember with the Nas and Jay, that was huge, and people did take sides. But I think people got through it. We're like, okay, these are both two goats. Regardless of wherever you fall on the fence, we can like both. You know what I mean? And
answer this question: has this beef been bigger than that one?
Yes, just because of technology, though. They've had an advantage with this one. Because with this one, they were able to kind of drop tracks. Exactly. Social media, technology, dropping tracks within hours of each other.
Is there a way we can hypothetically take that out and just talk about like I guess that's hard. Because like because if we remember that was our senior year of high school. Like that was a big feud, man.
Yeah, but remember, look at how spaced out the songs were. They weren't dropping within days or hours.
Like they couldn't do anything about that,
really, right? But that's what I'm saying to you. And I'm not diminishing how big that beef was. It was a big beef. That was huge. But I think Kendrick and Drake had the advantage of today's technology with social media. They can drop within hours, streaming. Right? Remember, like back when Nas and Jay were beefing, we had to wait for like a CD to come out, or like we had to wait to hear it on the radio. Yeah. We had
I wonder if technology was the same then as it is now. Which one would have been bigger then?
Right, that's the thing. I don't know.
Weren't they both like a little younger than these two guys are? Oh, well, because Nas was in his 20s still, which sounds crazy. I think Nas was bro, that was 20 something years ago. Yeah, I think Nas was like 28, 29 when Stillmatic came out.
Oh, he was, but Jay was in his 30s. Jay was
like in his mid.
Yeah, it was the early 30s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Because I think Jay was like 32. Right, Nas was like 28, 29.
Isn't that crazy? Nas was 28.
Yeah, like 28.
Wow. That's so young, man.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're right. I mean, but again, I think Drake and Kendrick had a more of an advantage because of technology, because of social media, because of streaming, which, Jay and Nas didn't have. We didn't have.
Which beef would you say you were more invested in as a listener?
Oh, Jay and Nas.
Is it because Jay was your favorite rapper at the time?
He was, and I think, yeah, he was. And not only that, we considered them like the GOATs, right? Especially since Big died and Pac was gone. They were like the two. I know Eminem was thrown in there. I was never a big Eminem fan like that. I know Eminem was kind of thrown in there, but they were really the two that, come on, like as far as hip hop, we consider the giant.
These are the two biggest rappers in the world. I don't think there's an argument.
Yeah, but you can throw Cole in there because I've always told you I like Cole. So I think Cole is better than Drake. Now there's an argument with him and Kendrick.
Cole's as big as them too. I don't think he is, man. Like I don't think Cole's not selling out stadiums, bro. Cole is.
Yeah, I think he is. Now he's not selling out. Now maybe not like football stadiums. He's probably selling out like.
That's what I'm saying. He'll sell out the Garden. But
yeah.
We may go see Kendrick next season in a football stadium. Drake is
you're right.
Football stadium guy.
That's true.
I don't think he's personally as big. Doesn't mean he's not as skilled or like on the same level.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same as far as like both.
Yeah, but to that argument, I don't think Nas can sell at a football stadium. Jay can, but I don't think Nas could either. But doesn't mean that Nas is not better. So I just think, to my point, it kind of proves my point because like, yeah, I think J. Cole is better than Drake. Yeah, Drake is probably bigger, but he's not a better rapper. You know what I mean? It's just, I get it. He's bigger because, of who he obviously his label and who he's worked with and who signed him. It's a lot of different factors because obviously Cole's more of like a obviously I mean he was signed under Jay, but he's more independent. You know what I mean? Than both of those three because they more have a crew. Like J. Cole to me having no crew and all that, he's a little different, but I think he's just as skilled, like you said, and I think he is better than Drake. There's definitely an argument between him and Kendrick. I would love to have. I would actually prefer to see them battle than.
Yeah, because I think if somebody says they like Kendrick as an artist better, I wouldn't think that's crazy at all. I'm sorry if they like Cole better than Kendrick. I wouldn't think that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily put that into it. So, because I do think they are the big three. I didn't like when Nas and Jay were beefing. Like I said, I know some people may throw Eminem in there. I think it was just them two. They were still bigger than Eminem. You know what I mean? Eminem was just starting to come in.
What? Because Eminem was massive.
But so what? All right. So when they were beefing, what album did Eminem have out at the time? Was it Marshall Mathers LP?
Eminem Show. I'm sorry, Eminem. I'm sorry. Well, either way, because we got to remember, Eminem's first 3 albums were all selling 7-8 million copies. Like,
right.
Massive. Remember, DMX was big around then too. Like now DMX's run was a little bit earlier. I think it was like late 90s. Because wasn't he?
Yeah, because Marcus Talk came out in 98.
Yeah, so it was maybe around that time.
Because what the Marshall his first one was his first one called?
His LP was 2000.
Oh, okay, and then right, and the beef started with them around 01. So when did Eminem Show come out?
So Eminem's Show came out in 2002, and that was also
that was at the height of the beef. Remember, that was kind of like at the height of it.
Yeah, that's sold 12 million copies, bro. He was big.
He was. But again, you being big as far as selling doesn't mean you're a better rapper than those.
No,
that's
I'm
what
not saying that. Right.
Like, I don't want because I don't like to use album sales and this person was big because if we're gonna use that, then Nelly, there were other big artists at that time, like you said, DMX, Nelly, they were all selling crazy amount of albums, but they just weren't on Jay and Nas's level to me. They just weren't on that level.
I think the difference is Eminem did get the respect of some of those dope MCs because a lot of people did respect him as a lyricist. Like Eminem wasn't like, no disrespect to Nelly. Like people can clown Nelly all they want, but Nelly had a lot. He had a lot of hits.
Well,
like
he did.
We went clubbing to a lot of Nelly's music.
Of course, yeah.
So but Eminem was different because not only was he selling a lot of records, but people were like, yo, he's got skills. Like he's one of the dopest lyricists too. So I think that was a little different.
Why it's a little okay? Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I think it was different too, is because Jay and Nas have been out way before he did, right? Obviously, think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Nas dropped Illmatic in 94. Yeah. Jay dropped Reasonable Doubt in 96. And Eminem came out 2000. Whereas, remember, J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick all came around the same time. Remember, Section 80 and Thank Me Later. Was it Thank Me Later. They both dropped in 2011.
I didn't know Section 80 was that old.
It is. So that's what I'm saying. So they was dropped in 2011. Then you had Cole drop the next year. So they were all around each other. Whereas like Nas and Jay were already kind of established before Eminem even kind of came into the picture. I get he's respected, but nobody was like, oh no, oh yeah, he's on their level. Because I think that's why that beef was so big because they had been the two best rappers for like 5 years going into that time. It was nobody was talking about Eminem until 2000. So it was like, oh yeah, Jay and Nas have been big. They before Eminem. So I think that's the difference too. That's why I wouldn't put Eminem up there because I'm like, well, you were kind of new. You know what I mean? They've already established themselves. You know what I mean? As being big artists and being the MCs they were. So that's why I think people were like, no, I'm not throwing Eminem in there. I think that's the difference between J. Cole with J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake because they all came around the same time. And they're all around the same age. They're 38, 39. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because even Jay's older than Nas and M because Jay was like you said was in his early 30s. Nas was in his 20s. So was Eminem. They were both.
I think M and Jay. I think M and Nas are around the same age. Actually.
Same age, right? Correct. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just think it was different. I definitely was more invested in the Jay and Nas because, like I said, Jay was my favorite rapper at the time. I none of these three are like my favorite rappers. I think they're all dope. But they're not my favorite rappers. So I was invested in it, but not like how a lot of people younger than us are more invested than we are. We listened and all that. Oh, this is dope. But
what's interesting is it's interesting where we are now because like, remember there was a point in time where we didn't even think Kendrick would respond. Remember that time? We were like, yo, he said nothing. Exactly. I think there was a point in time where we were like, yeah, like kind of lost a little respect for Kendrick, bro. Like,
right.
and then all of a sudden, whoa, it was back to
Mhm.
back to back to back. It was like,
Right.
whoo.
Yeah, they not like us just ended it because Drake said he couldn't make a hit like club dancing song, and he did exactly that, and it was
That
just a
was
wrap
rough,
after that.
man. Yeah. And
Yeah, it
before
was
we get
over.
out, GNX overall, did you like it?
I did. I know I had to go back and listen to it a few times because at first when I heard it, I was like, yeah, like probably like half the track, like 6 out of 12. But I listened to it more. I'm starting to like some of the other tracks, a little more. Like I like that song. Is it Man at the Garden or Meet at the Garden?
Man at the Garden. Yep.
Man at the Garden, yeah. Because at first I didn't like that track, but now I like that track. I don't know. I know you and B Rice love G and X. I'm not feeling that
Yeah,
track.
that's one of my favorite songs on there.
Yeah. And he has some songs on there that are kind of like skipping, like that song.
Peekaboo.
Oh God, it's horrible. Like everybody sounds off beat on this. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not. That's probably my
yeah.
least favorite
So
song.
like, it's not one of his best albums. I mean, it's. I think it's a good, solid. It's solid. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna like. I don't think it's better than Damn. I don't think it's better than Pimp a Butterfly. I don't think it's better than Good Kid, Mad City. Now, you guys may be right. I think it's probably better than his last one.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling the Mr.
Yeah,
around the big step.
but I wouldn't. Those other three, I wouldn't put it over. Those other three are better albums.
Those are all considered arguably classics. So.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, but I think it's a good, solid album. I like it. You know what I mean?
I actually liked it probably a little bit more than you did.
I know. Yeah.
Hard Part 6.
That's my favorite track. That's my favorite track. Yeah, I had that on repeat a lot. I love the SWV sample. And I didn't realize
knocked out Murals. I think the album starts off.
Really that's. I think that's Ellie's favorite track. Yeah, but yeah, because I didn't realize that Pharrell, the Neptunes, did that SWV beat. I never knew that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just found that out. Me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know they even did that beat. I thought, yeah, because that album, a lot of the album was produced by the former, Puffy. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a lot because yeah, he produced a lot of that album. But yeah, so I didn't know that because I actually thought Puffy did the beat. That's why I was like, oh. So when I heard that the Neptunes, I'm like, oh, I thought it was Puffy that did it. So yeah, but no, that's my favorite track. So yeah, no doubt. But yeah, man, we're getting in the home stretch of the NFL. You know what I mean?
I got a good feeling this year, D.
Last 4 or 5 games. Next month we'll be talking about Wild Card Weekend, the playoffs. It's a sad time though for me too, because it's like, damn, football's coming to an end. I remember just like a couple months ago, we were all excited. September, we're like,
it flies by, bro.
I know, flew by, bro.
Cowboys still got a shot.
I don't think so. Like now, I will say I do think they can win their last 2 games. The next 2 games they can win, but they have to play Philly in 3 weeks. They're not beating Philly.
Is that in Philly?
It is. Yeah,
that's gonna be hard.
That's where it ends. I think that's where the dream ends. Because I agree with you. I think they can win Monday night. I think they can beat the Panthers the following week, but yeah, when it gets to, because first of all they have Philly. This is who they end with: Philly, Bucks, Commanders. That's a rough stretch.
The Commanders isn't like a crazy one.
No, it's not a crazy one. No, it's the Bucks. Because the Bucks, they're kind of weird. Because like, even though I said the Bucks can upset, they can also lose.
They can also lose to anyone.
yeah, that's so weird. So yeah, but I think that's where it ends. When Philly beats them, I think that's when we'll be like, all right, it's over.
But props to them for still playing hard, man. They're playing.
Oh yeah. Now I will say this: I don't know if it's a good thing. They might be saving Mike McCarthy's job for him doing this.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now,
so
if they end the season like 9-8, which is still possible, that could save his job.
It could. You're right.
Especially because 9-8 could be a 7 spot. It could. No, if they make the playoffs.
Oh, then he's definitely coming back. If they make the playoffs, he's coming back.
Which you would not like.
I still think they need a new coach, but I get it. I'll say this. I get it.
You don't feel. I feel like you don't feel as strongly about him leaving as you did like a Garrett. Like Garrett, you're like, get him. No,
I don't, because I actually do think Mike McCarthy's a good coach. I mean, dude, he won a Super Bowl, and he's a great regular season coach. I mean, he has a lot of. He's been to championship games. Like he's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to 3 or 4 NFC championship games. He's not a bad coach. It's just he's not the right coach for Dallas.
It's not the right coach. Yeah, and they got to get a new DC. They got to get a new coordinator.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, if they make the playoffs, he's keeping his job. I think if they, like you said, if they finish 9-8, it's 50-50. You know what I mean? It's 50-50, but if they go to the playoffs, yeah, he's coming back.
How funny would it be if this was the year they got to the title game?
So I would be happy, but then I'd be like, wait a minute. So they did this in the year where, like, right, McCarthy was on the verge of losing his job. They have no Dak. Well, that's also an indictment on Dak, kind of like, oh,
that would be fantastic, man.
I know, because that's also an indictment on Dak. That wouldn't be a good look for Dak if that happens.
I mean,
you imagine if they pulled a Eagles Foles? Dog. If that happens, I mean, like I said, I'll be happy. I don't care. I'm a fan of the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, you don't care how your team wins.
Yeah, it's just a bad look on Dak. It's like, damn, dog. Yeah, I don't know if you should come back. Like, yeah, they may have to trade you, bro, because, yeah, they did this without you.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Well, first of all,
the whole reason I don't see that happening because...
Well, it's not happening. We're just...
No. I mean, CD's still like their whole offense. Like, they have no running game.
Although Rico played well last week.
He did. But, I'm sure you heard the news today. Zach Martin's out for the year.
Oh,
he's out. Yeah. Looks like Jake Ferguson's not coming back either. So that's our best type. It's just too much that they have going. And they still have, like, little injuries here and there. Like, Trayvon Diggs is banged up. Now, I know they're getting some people back. I heard they're getting DeMarcus Lawrence back. They just got Brandon Cooks back and Mike and all that. But they just have too many injuries to overcome as well. So
they're probably going to end up going like 8-9. Best case.
I agree.
I think it's like 8-9. Yeah.
And I think if that happens, then we'll still go get a new coach for sure. Yeah.
Possibly. I'm not as sold he's not coming back, but possibly, yeah.
If we go 8-9, I would say it's a 75% chance we get a new coach. But if he goes 9-8, I'm with you. It may be 50-50. I don't know. It may be like, I don't know. But if he makes the playoffs, he's coming back.
100%. He probably should.
He's coming back.
Probably should.
Right. Dog. Would you even put out the realm that he may win Coach of the Year if that was to happen?
Well, I think the issue is like people would still say like, well, he was responsible for the bad start too. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but to overcome that and make the playoffs, Jerry Jones and all that crap, like, I mean, he would definitely be in the running. You're right. He wouldn't win it, but he definitely should be in the running at least or consider.
And another fascinating thing too, before we wrap up, is like, there's all this talk about the Niners and their season being over, which is more than likely. But like, with 5 games left, they're only 2 games out of first place in that division. That division is very tight. Like, and they still play the Cardinals again. They still play. I don't know if it's the Seahawks.
They split with the Seahawks. They split.
They split twice. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do it.
They lost. They had to play the Rams again because they lost to the Rams, right?
The Rams are very weird too. Like
they are. They can beat anybody. They can also lose to anybody too.
They're awful. So I don't know what they are. That whole division is weird.
It is.
The Cardinals are kind of like the Bucks too. Like they can look sick one week, and then one week they look awful.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the whole division. Every team.
They also blow leads. Like,
yeah, they're weird.
They'll be up by like 2 touchdowns, and then like, dog, how did you lose the game? Like they did it against Minnesota. Remember the early game against Buffalo? Remember they went on Buffalo like 17-0, and they blew it, and they ended up losing by like double digits. I'm like, dog, how does that happen? Yeah, like if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'd be so frustrated. I'd be like, dog, like being real, like if you're a Cardinals fan, you're up by like 2 touchdowns. You can't be like, oh, we got this. She's like, well, probably gonna blow it.
You're not happy until it says 0 on the clock in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I would hate to be a fan of that. Like you're up, like, oh, dog, we're about like double digits, and then we lose, and we end up losing by double digits. Like that's horrible. So yeah, man. But yeah, man, we'll do it again next week. Possibly we might have a guest, next week. But if not, it would just be you and me as we roll down the stretch of this
duo. Yeah,
roll down the stretch of this last month of the NFL. But we'll do it again next week. Peace.